Oh baby, we got a good one for you today. Lots of top brand new spanking crypto news. Sam Bankman-Fried is not going to fight extradition to the US. Is there more people to be indicted in the conspiracy charges? US Senate is floating the idea to ban crypto altogether in the United States. And US federal prosecutors are digging into Democratic donations. And like I said in my last video, is the Federal Reserve trying to do a reverse wealth effect by taking control of cryptocurrencies, including DeFi? Don't think I'm going to leave you hanging, guys. We're going to listen to some clips from Kevin O'Leary, and we're going to take a look at some of the FUD and rumors going on with CZ and Binance. There were over 350 scam tokens made in just the last year. And on-chain data says we are waiting for this one final signal to start the bull run. Now guys, keep in mind, for your video pleasure, I film in 6K. I scaled to 4K. You can just tap the video, and in the top right corner there's a cogwheel. Click advanced settings and choose 4K. I also record in surround sound, so you have dynamic surround sound for your system at home or high-end computers, or even if you have the headphones or ear pods in, okay? Now guys, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube, but we also have a Twitter and Instagram as well as YouTube. And after about 140 versions and revisions on our algorithm that we've been working on for years to give you the best signals and highest win rate to enter properly, hold on to your gains, any market environment, any cycle, any phase, any asset is about to be released. So you're gonna want to subscribe, select all, and come into the Discord. Saying all that, welcome to the wheelhouse. Let's get it started.
FTX have sufficient risk management systems and controls to appropriately monitor any leverage the business took on and the interconnections it had with businesses like, again, Alameda.
There were virtually no internal controls and no separateness whatsoever.
Can you provide some indication of whether customer funds from FTX.com were in fact transferred to Alameda Research?
Well, definitely the assets of customers in the .com silo were transferred to Alameda, no question about it.
Are you yet in a position to be able to describe, summarize the assets that Alameda had?
The question really is, are there wallets that we don't know about? Certainly that is the potential, because the way this company was organized, there may be wallets that don't have our names, we don't know where they are, and that's going to be a difficult task ahead of us. Look, at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to recover all the losses here. Money was spent that we'll never get back. There will be losses on the international side. We're hopeful on the U.S. side. He'll answer to others related to what happened here. Our job is just to, find the assets and try to get customers their money back as quickly as possible.
All right, so let's get it started. Right here it says Sam Bankman-Fried seeks to reverse decision on contesting extradition. The former FTX CEO has reportedly reconsidered his earlier decision to contest extradition and is expected to appear in court in the Bahamas on December 19th. By consenting to extradition, Bankman-Fried would be able to appear in a United States court. He faces charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud on customers and lenders, securities fraud, commodities fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud the United States and violate the campaign finance laws. And when it rains, it pours. The U.S. Senate banking chair floats possibility of banning crypto. Despite suggesting a possible ban, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown stated it would be very difficult to do so because activity would go offshore. And as I mentioned earlier, 350 new scam tokens were created every day this year, reported by Solidus Labs. Nearly 118,000 scam tokens were deployed from the start of January through the end of November, according to blockchain risk monitoring firm Solidus. And I thought this was interesting because I had just mentioned in my last video that I had thought that the government was making an attempt or had an agenda at controlling cryptocurrency as well as DeFi. And it says right here, the Federal Reserve's pursuit of a reverse wealth effect is undermining crypto. The Federal Reserve is seeking to push investors into reevaluating their portfolios by injecting chaos into the markets. The Federal Reserve strategy to hike interest rates may continue, making it difficult for the crypto industry to bounce back. For crypto assets to become the hedge against inflation, the industry needs to explore ways to decouple crypto from traditional markets. DeFi can perhaps offer a way out by breaking away from legacy financial models. Now, how Federal Reserve policies are affecting crypto. In the 1980s, Paul Volcker, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, introduced the interest hiking policy to control inflation. Volcker raised interest rates to over 20%, forcing the economy into a recession by reducing people's purchasing capacity. The strategy worked, and the consumer price index went down from 14.85% to 2.5%. Even now, the Federal Reserve continues to use the same methodology to bring down high inflation rates. In 2022, core U.S. inflation reached a 40-year high, making the Federal Reserve consistently hike interest rates throughout the year. This has negatively hit the crypto market. Mike McGlone, the senior commodity strategist at Bloomberg Intelligence, explained that the Fed's sledgehammer has been pressuring crypto this year. He believes that the Fed's policies could lead to a crash that is worse than the 2008 financial crisis. For example, Bitcoin prices declined on May 6th after the Fed's meeting on May 3rd and 4th to increase interest by 0.5%. Similarly, Bitcoin fell to 17,500 after the Fed meeting on June 14th and 15th, where they raised interest rates by 0.75. So what is the future trajectory of Fed policies? Well, in all probability, the Federal Reserve will continue with its interest rate hikes in accordance with the market data feedback. Bank of America wrote, the Fed will stress data dependence. They will get 2 more NFP and CPI prints before the December meeting. If they stay hot, another 75 basis points is in the cards. If not, a deceleration to 50 basis points is possible, the strategist added. The Fed isn't done hiking until the data says so. But this famous analyst says Bitcoin still lacks this on-chain signal for Bitcoin bull market, as further data reaffirms a textbook Bitcoin price bottom is in progress. Bitcoin network activity is underwhelming. Despite many calling for new Bitcoin lows of 12,000 or less this cycle, not everyone is wholly bearish on the outlook for Bitcoin. So it's essential that 2 on-chain phenomena necessary for Bitcoin price recovery are already in evidence. Long-term holder supply is resisting the urge to sell despite Bitcoin being down over 70% from its last all-time high. I went over this in depth in my last video. And the second is that short-term speculators are feeling acute pain from recent price action. All that's missing is a rise in network activity from all participants, and we are good to go. Now this is interesting, and we're going to have to see where this goes. Sam Bankman-Fried prosecutors reportedly dig into donations made to top U.S. Democrats. Democratic members from the DNC and the DCCC and Congressman Hakeem Jeffries were contacted by Sam Bankman-Fried prosecutors for information to aid their ongoing investigations. The prosecutors investigating former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried have reportedly reached out to top members of the Democratic Party demanding information about the political donations made by the entrepreneur. Given the allegations around potential campaign finance violations by Bankman-Fried, we are setting aside funds in order to return the $815,000 in contributions since 2020. We will return as soon as we receive proper direction in the legal proceedings. And it looks like some of the Democrats have already returned over $1 million of Sam Bankman-Fried's funding to FTX victims. The Democratic committees of the DNC, the DSCC, and the DCCC pledged to return Sam Bankman-Fried's political donations after the entrepreneur was charged with 8 counts of financial crimes. And guys, this is what you need to know. Let's take a closer look at what Sam Bankman-Fried is accused of exactly. FTX and Alameda research founder Sam Bankman-Fried was the town's busiest mega donor over the past couple of years. He had given tens of millions to federal candidates and groups that earned him the poster child of crypto in the eyes of regulators. The success story turned into a swift train wreck after his crypto empire collapsed in November. FTX is now being touted as one of the biggest financial frauds in American history, dragging down its orchestrator as well as several other companies into bankruptcy. That has not pushed Bankman-Fried to lay low. In fact, he has been on an aggressive media tour and even jumped on a harmful or less formal Twitter Spaces for impromptu conversations. Okay, so let's look at the charges. The SEC has 2 counts of securities fraud. The complaint alleges that Bankman-Fried orchestrated brazen multi-year fraud to hide from FTX's investors about, number 1, the diversion of customer funds to its sister trading Alameda Research, LLC, number 2, the special treatment afforded to Alameda on the FTX platform, including providing the former with a virtually unlimited line of credit funded by the bankrupt exchange's customers and exempting Alameda from certain key risk mitigation measures. And number 3, the risk originating from FTX's exposure to Alameda's significant holdings of overvalued, illiquid assets, including FTX-affiliated tokens. Now, the CFTC hit him with 2 counts of fraud. The United States Commodity Futures Trading Commission, otherwise known as the CFTC, filed a complaint against Bankman-Fried, FTX, as well as Alameda, charging all 3 defendants with fraud and material misrepresentations in connection with the sale of digital commodities in interstate commerce. 2 counts of violating the anti-fraud provisions of the Commodity Exchange Act were slapped on the former billionaire. 1 count of fraud and 1 count of fraudulent misstatements to customers. The filing stated that the trio's actions caused the loss of more than $8 billion in FTX customer deposits. Oh, but there's more. The Department of Justice has 8 criminal charges. So the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, the lead prosecutor for the Southern District of New York, hit Bankman-Fried with a total of 8 criminal charges on December 13th. The Justice Department has also demanded that he forfeits his assets. According to the official document, the federal prosecutors allege that the executive has a long-standing history of criminal activity as far back as 2019 of perpetrating a scheme to defraud customers of FTX by misappropriating billions of dollars of user funds. He's also accused of making illegal political campaign contributions under aliases using stolen customer funds from FTX. The 30-year-old is charged with 2 counts of wire fraud conspiracy, 2 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Each of these carries a maximum sentence of 20 years. Conspiracy to commit commodities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and conspiracy to defraud the United States and commit campaign finance violations were also levied against the founder, each of which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. If convicted, Sam Bankman-Fried faces the possibility of decades or up to life in prison.
The Senate Banking Committee holding a second day of hearings on the downfall of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, examining how the company's implosion could impact the industry. FTX investor Kevin O'Leary, who lost millions, had this to say regarding how the fallout occurred.
In my view, my personal opinion, these two behemoths that own the unregulated market together and grew these incredible businesses in terms of growth were at war with each other. And one put the other out of business intentionally. Now, maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with love and war. But Binance is a massive, unregulated global monopoly now. They put FTX out of business. Now, lots of other reasons, I'm sure, but that's my personal opinion. That is what Sam Bankman-Fried told me in terms of where the assets went.
Less than 2 weeks before his arrest, SBF addressed reporter questions for the first time on video since the collapse of FTX. He claimed that he, quote, didn't ever try to commit fraud and didn't knowingly commingle funds.
I had a duty to all of our stakeholders, to our customers, our creditors. I had a duty to our employees, to our investors, and to the regulators in the world. To do right by them, to make sure the right things happen to the company. And clearly I didn't do a good job of that. Clearly I made a lot of mistakes or things I would give anything to be able to do over again. And I'm deeply sorry about what happened.
Sorry.